Hi, teachers. I'm Walter. This is EOT in Brazil. This is my partner, Bruno Albuquerque. We're here today again to talk to you about course books. Bruno, the book we have today is World English by National Geographic, right?
Yes.
This is a great book. We're going to have a very nice discussion about it. We'll see you in a minute, all right? So, oh yeah, before I forget, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do it now, all right? That's a moral pra gente. We need that.
Yes.
We need that. And please click like, subscribe if you can. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Te vejo logo após a vinheta.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So as Walter was saying, today we're talking about World English from National Geographic Learning, my amorzinho. And we're looking at, this is an unbiased opinion. Today, we're looking at a grammar lesson from World English. But we thought that for this spread to be well analyzed, we needed the spread, but we're not going to analyze the vocabulary section of the book since we're focusing on the grammar parts of interchange and outcomes, right? So we'll focus on the grammar here.
Yes.
To keep with our script, Walter, layout,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Simple, straightforward, very clear, very well organized. You have separated sections. So you have vocabulary, A, B, C, D. You have grammar. And you just can, oh yeah, you don't go A, B, C, D again. You just keep it going. So you have from the entire lesson. So lesson A, and then it goes up to exercise H, and then you have, oh yes, this is beautiful, right? Oh yeah, I like it. I like it very much. Yeah, it's kind of simplistic. It's a more minimalistic book. Not many images. This page has no images, and the first one has one. Yeah, I like it very much. And remember something that you said in the other video about having space if you want to take notes, write on your book. Yeah, that's good.
And I think this book is some sort of a departure of the Nat Geo standard, right? Because usually National Geographic books, you get lots of pictures, very colorful, right? And the page is filled with images and text, and it looks like a magazine, like we talked about in life. This one doesn't, right?
Yes.
So this has a more traditional take on course books, right?
Yes.
And one thing, yes.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask you, have you used this book?
Yes, with my dad. I taught my dad for almost a year with this book. Yeah, we can record a video on that.
You probably like it, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Oh yeah,
it's a book I chose because it's clear and I feel it's very adult friendly. So I don't feel, I get the feeling that this is directed to adults, or
yes.
Yeah, this one is careers. This is unit 11. It's called careers, so not for teenagers, right?
Yeah, not really.
And what I like, I think it's the thing I like the most about this series, which I think kind of segues into rationale and writer's beliefs, is you get the objective, the goal of the lesson on the top left of the spread, and then at the bottom right of the spread you have a goal check, right? So if you've been through CELTA, this is very CELTA-like, right? So you have an objective of the lesson, and then the last activity of the lesson is checking if the objective was achieved or not. And it's right here. You don't need to, because usually you get the lesson objective in the teacher's guide, right? And then the lesson develops, and then you get to an activity that will check this goal achievement or not. But it's in the teacher's guide. Here in World English, it's in your face. And I think this is very andragogically friendly, So the student, the adult learner,
expand on that.
sits down. Sure. The adult learner sits down in this class, and they know exactly where they're going. So, okay, today's objective is to discuss career choices. So I will know that if by the end of the lesson, if I can discuss career choices better than I did when I sat down for this class.
I have to say, I particularly like it very much when the book gives you the communicative objective of the lesson, right? I find it not only to adults, I gotta say, I think it to everyone. It's like, what are you gonna do in this lesson? You have an objective in there. This is what we're gonna do with this. This is good. I gotta say, there's one more thing. Like when the teacher, and this is already stepping into what the writer was thinking, the rationale when they devised the lesson for the book.
And a disclaimer, what we think the writer was thinking, they devised the book, right?
there you go. Yeah. What I mean is like knowing where, okay, I have like these pages. How many lessons do I have here? So I think this is very user-friendly, teacher-friendly. Like, okay, I clearly have a vocabulary lesson here. I clearly have a grammar lesson here. I have 2 lessons here. So if I have a 2-hour lesson, I can do it in 1 lesson. If I have a 45 1-hour lesson, I can do it in 2 lessons. But I'm going to complete that journey in here. Right. So, and for people taking the Delta, in the Delta, you have that sort of wrap up in the end. And it depends on the person who's your CELTA tutor. They kind of expect something like that, which is what you mentioned. I'm not sure that is what you expect in every CELTA course. I really don't know. If every CELTA course,
an assessment activity at the end.
no,
I think so.
Having that wrap up moment, I do feel that that's very Delta-like. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, because I remember my CELTA classes. You had to begin at the lead-in, and you have to end at a feedback moment, right? And then talking about yes, you gotta end there.
You know that thing in the Delta that you're like, okay, you have a feedback moment, but you do have a wrap-up moment right after the feedback. It's difficult to explain it here. Because that would actually be the subject of an entire video. If we're talking about feedback and everything. But anyway, Bruno, if we're looking here now, talking about the approaches, the framework first. What is the framework for you for the grammar lesson?
It is PPP again and deductive, right? So you have the grammar rules there, and then here, differently from the book in the last video, which you had. It was the other video, the
open world, you mean? The one that
I think it was an open world that you had the can and can't, right? That you had examples.
That was in the interchange, wasn't it?
Interchange, yeah. And then you had the examples of sentences being created, right? Like a substitution table. Here you have the rule and examples. So it's even more explicit than interchange.
Interesting you said that. There's a good definition between deductive and inductive lessons. Deductive, rules to example. Inductive, example to rule. So if you think about that one, I still think that interchange lesson was pretty deductive, even though you don't actually have the rule. But I mean, it's so self-explanatory that I don't think you need to. Now, when you look in here, you have exactly the explanation to the example. So this is like the perfect example of a deductive lesson, right?
True. Yeah, and then control practice, right? So complete the sentences with an advice modal, use a negative form when necessary, complete the sentence in pairs, use your own ideas. So this is still controlled practice, but less controlled. There's a little bit of personalization here, some creativity, some critical thinking here and there. And
Which one? Which one? H?
G.
G.
In G, there's a little bit of a personalization here. And in H, it's the freer practice part of the lesson. Yeah, before the goal check, of course.
Very, very interesting. Yes.
So it's this letting go of control throughout the lesson, right?
Absolutely. I really like the book. I really like this. I think it's also important to say that some books, they are better for people who want to study things on their own. Like, oh, what if I buy an English book and just study by myself? This would be doable. This would actually be doable because it's so deductive, right? The presentation of the language, that you can actually do that. It's doable, perfectly doable. Bruno, what do you think of the choices in terms of practice exercises?
Good question. Personally, I wouldn't have two fill in the gap exercises one after the other. I think students can get bored. However, I feel that G is a more complex version of exercise F, right? So maybe you can feel the group and decide if your students need all this scaffold, read the box, look at the box, understand the box, and then F, very controlled exercise, G, less controlled, H, a bit freer, because maybe depending on the group, you can skip F, do letter G, right, which is still controlled, but with some personalization, and then you wouldn't need exercise F there.
Yes,
but I think it caters to different needs.
What I think it's like, it's just this book. It's incredible because if you were taking the Celta, wow, you're like looking at a Celta lesson because like you have a controlled practice. You have what could be a less controlled practice or a freer practice, and then you have what would be, depending on how you address the rubrics, it could become a freer practice, even though it's still a less controlled practice. Right? And then you devise a freer task. But wow.
Oh, freer task is the last one.
Yeah, but
the goal check activity.
You can totally see it that way, a freer practice or a freer task.
Oh no, Walter, I'm talking about the goal check activity.
Oh,
the goal check activity can be your
the freer practice itself.
Yeah, the communicative activity, which is assessment and freer practice, all at the same time, right?
It's a perfect. Oh yes, I hadn't looked at the questions, but like it's a perfect end of the lesson, right?
Would you problematize this?
Sure.
A bit. I love the book, but there are 2 points that I think are worth mentioning. One is this kind of atomistic view of language that you will learn the language by achieving goal after goal after goal, as if you're having building blocks one on top of each other, instead of a more holistic perspective of language learning, which it's not a problem, but there will be people who will disagree with the way that this is organized. And I feel that this is an issue with every grammar syllabus based book that you find at the bookstore. And another thing is that if you have the goal of the lesson stamped in the student book, you have to get it. Because if you don't, students might get mad. And escaping from this, and you know, sometimes things happen in class, and then what is emerging in class is more interesting than what's in the book. And then you might want to you know, like, escape through the window and do something else, and then this goal is not going to be achieved, and then the goal check activity will not really work because you kind of changed the goal midway. Yes. Right? But maybe you can just cross out the...
Yeah, I just want to expand on that because, well, first you touched on very Delta-like things, the atomistic, which is the more Aristotle view of learning, as opposed to the holistic, which is more the Asian side, you know, the way Asians were taught for so long. And now we've been, you know, searching for rather holistic views of learning and changing things a little more. There's a lot of scaffolding there, which is very atomistic, right? And I like that, and it just amazes me how much I empathize and how much I take in from the atomistic view myself, because I was taught my entire life in that approach, let's say, right? So that's just how we function. It doesn't mean our students, yeah, it does, but yeah, how to make things more holistic, and what materials could be more holistic, right?
And I think that there's a key question there. Why bother? I think it's the first question, right? So atomistic approaches, they work, right? So I speak English based out of an atomistic approach all my life, right? All the course books that were used to teach me English were grammar syllabus. Yeah, so it works. But then there is the holistic approach, which also works. I feel that we should ask first, why move from atomistic to holistic? What are the gains there? Because there will very likely be losses as well, right? Come on, you cannot say that, oh, holistic approach is the best approach. We know that this is a silly statement, right? It's shallow, yeah. But, and I don't know. I don't know why we should. Write in the comments if you do, please.
No, I mean, I think Nunnan, David Nunnan, there's a book called Syllabus Design, 1988. Very good book for Delta Module 3, by the way. He talks a lot about the differences between syllabuses and also curriculums, right? But like the difference between grammatical, or what's the term? Because you have analytic syllabuses and synthetic syllabuses. But then you have something, because you would see that like at the beginning they were most synthetic, more focused on grammar, right? And then you have many types of synthetic syllabuses, and then you have the analytic one, and then you have something that is more focused on the processes. So for example, to put this into an example, when you think about the way you teach writing, if you're focusing on language and like the language you're going to use in that, you're not focusing on the process of writing. But then you also had the view of, I'm going to focus on the genre. And I think you yourself like the process, right? Like, oh, how do you write?
Process
What
and
is
genre,
involved
yeah.
in the process of writing? And how does that work? That's very holistic, the way I understand it. I
So
wouldn't say it's,
perhaps atomistic for grammar and vocabulary, and
yes,
holistic for skills development.
yes. But then again, if you want something more holistic, maybe you could put them together.
Yeah, I would like to see an example of that.
Yeah, I can't think of one right now, but I mean,
Because
that's a good topic.
it seems to me that learning a system, looking at the pieces and piecing the system together, makes more sense than looking at the system as a whole. And I wouldn't know how to approach it.
I see.
You know,
I see.
if I don't break it down into more
Tangible
how do I put
pieces.
this? More tangible pieces, how would you do it?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. But I mean, seriously, dude, this is a discussion that deserves like an entire series of videos, right? Because here's the thing, I do need to do a little bit of the research to separate the I gotta say, it was like, if we're gonna talk about analytic and synthetic syllabuses, and we are gonna contrast the atomistic and the holistic view, right? Yes, much of what I do is very atomistic. I agree. But I think I need to think of, okay, what am I doing that is more holistic? Because if we're gonna think of Freire, for example, how holistic was that? Because that's not an atomistic view of learning. That's holistic. The way he did things, that was holistic.
True.
Well, maybe in another video.
Maybe in another video.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's a wrap.
Let us know in the comments. What do you think about that discussion? We would like to know, like, what do you prefer? Do you like that scaffolding? Do you like the atomistic, the pieces by pieces until we build something and a student can use it? What do you think of that? How do you see that? Right? Also, click on the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Dá essa força pra gente, para ajudar a gente a manter, fazer mais conteúdo pro canal. It's always very important, and we really appreciate it. Right, Bruno? I think we got a wrap.
Yep. I think this is it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching.
Overall, great book.
I agree. I really like it. Yeah, very clean, very easy to use. Yep. All right, folks. This is it. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.